On October 9, 2007, the baseball world held its breath as Barry Bonds stepped onto the field for his final home run, a staggering 756 that would eclipse Hank Aaron's long-standing record, and the cheers that followed masked a storm of suspicion that would erupt into one of the most controversial scandals in sports history. Born in San Francisco in 1964, Bonds grew up in the shadow of his father, former MLB star Bobby Bonds, and quickly proved himself a prodigy, debuting with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1986 and winning 2 National League MVP awards before his career even entered its prime. Yet it was his tenure with the San Francisco Giants, beginning in 1993, that would cement his legend. The 1990 saw baseball's offensive explosion, but it also ushered in the era of performance-enhancing drugs, a secret war waged in locker rooms, weight rooms, and clandestine laboratories. By the time the millennium turned, Bonds had already amassed 583 home runs, but the lure of the all-time record beckoned louder than ever. In 2001, he launched a historic 73 home run season, shattering Mark McGwire's single-season mark and igniting a frenzy that lifted baseball out of the doldrums left by the 1994 strike. The public adored the spectacle, but whispers grew louder. Teammates, rivals, and a handful of investigative journalists began linking the surge in power to a new, illegal substance, anabolic steroids. The first concrete crack in the facade appeared in 2003, when the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative, or BALCO, was exposed as a hub for distributing designer steroids to elite athletes. BALCO's founder, Victor Kortz, claimed that a client list included several high-profile baseball players, and a name surfaced repeatedly in the investigation: Barry Bonds. Though the federal grand jury refused to name individuals, the mere association sent shockwaves through the sport. Bonds denied any wrongdoing, insisting that his remarkable durability stemmed from rigorous training, a disciplined diet, and an iron will. He pointed to his clean record of testing. MLB's drug testing program, at the time, was still in its infancy, and many argued it lacked the rigor to catch sophisticated doping. Yet the evidence kept mounting. In 2005, a former BALCO employee, a laboratory chemist named Greg Rain, testified before a federal grand jury that he had supplied Bonds with the cream, a testosterone-boosting injection. A stack of handwritten notes labeled Bonds was presented, listing dates and dosages that matched the timeline of Bonds' most productive seasons. The indictment arrived on October 15, 2007. Bonds was charged with perjury, obstruction of justice, and making false statements to a grand jury. The indictment alleged that he had lied under oath about his steroid use, that he had attempted to conceal evidence, and that he had pressured a former teammate, Jeff Damon, to lie on his behalf. The charges set the stage for a legal battle that would dominate headlines for the next 4 years. The trial began on March 7, 2011, in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Prosecutors painted a picture of a calculated cheater who, in pursuit of glory, had turned to a secret cream, and a network of doctors, trainers, and lab technicians to keep his performance at the pinnacle. They called former BALCO executives, disgruntled ex-teammates, and even a former sports journalist who had written extensively about the steroid era. Their star witness was former BALCO chemist Dr. Catherine M. Drew, who testified that she had prepared a testosterone-enhancing injection for Bonds on multiple occasions in 2001 and 2003. Bonds' defense countered with a blend of character testimony and technical arguments. Former teammates like Jeff Damon took the stand, swearing under oath that they had never seen Bonds inject any substance, and that the cream story was a fabrication of a disgruntled chemist seeking revenge. The defense also highlighted the flaws in MLB's testing protocol, arguing that the league's own system had failed to catch any illicit substances and therefore could not be used as proof of guilt. They introduced expert witnesses who explained that the handwriting on the notes could belong to any number of people, and that the Bonds label was a common shorthand for many in the locker room. After 5 months of testimony, cross-examination, and heated arguments, the jury retired to deliberate. The case hinged on whether the government could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Bonds knowingly lied to the grand jury and that he had taken steroids. The legal standards for perjury are exacting. A juror must be convinced that the defendant intentionally provided false testimony, not merely that the testimony was inaccurate. The defense's narrative of ambiguity and procedural missteps resonated. On November 17, 2011, the foreperson announced a deadlock on the perjury count, while the obstruction charge was dismissed earlier in the trial due to insufficient evidence. The judge declared a mistrial on the perjury count and scheduled a retrial. However, in a dramatic turn of events, on April 24, 2015, U.S. District Judge William Hirsch presiding over the case dismissed the remaining perjury charge, citing prosecutorial overreach and the fact that the government had failed to prove that Bonds knowingly misled the grand jury. With the charges dismissed, Bonds walked out of the courtroom a free man, though the stain on his legacy remained. The fallout rippled far beyond the courtroom. In 2013, the Baseball Hall of Fame's voting results revealed that Bonds received a historic 61% of the vote, just shy of the 75% threshold for induction. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.